My father. And who is your father?
Ruling state in the world. And the Son of Mary will now rule the world from Jerusalem. The return of the Son of Mary, Nabi Isa alayhi salam.
Many centuries and many years ago. And he shall also intend to destroy the Kaaba, but this time Allah will not protect it. And he shall allow the Suwayqatayn, this man from Habasha, from Abyssinia, to destroy the Kaaba. And another of these 10 major signs is...
So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we will have nothing left but the kuffar on the earth. After the Mahdi and during the time of Mahdi, there will be kuffar. At the time of Dajjal and after him, there will still be some kuffar. And then at the time of Jesus, the son of Mary, there will still be kuffar. And then basically the Kaaba will be destroyed just before Jesus, the son of Mary, passes away. So we will have nothing but kuffar left on the earth. The Quran will now be lifted, and they will be waiting with no Muslims on the earth at all.
Is the rising of the sun from the west. The rising of the sun from the west. And
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we know that the sunrise actually starts in New Zealand and goes all the way to Japan. And where does it set? The last place it sets is in the island of Samoa. And this is the law of physics since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed from day one that the sun will rise from the east and will set in the west.
your signs of your Lord will come. لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا. Allah says in the Quran, by the way, this is Surah An'am, verse 158. Surah An'am, verse 158. The day that some of your Lord's signs will come, it will not benefit anyone to accept faith at that time if they had not accepted faith before. Now the Quran does not say.
So basically, this will be the biggest sign, or one of the biggest signs, because the law of physics will actually show that the sun is rising now in the west rather than in the east. So the Americas will see double the time of daylight, and the east will see the double the time of darkness. So people will be perplexed. Now they will understand that something big, tectonic, has happened after the other big events in themselves, i.e. the Dajjal, Jesus the son of Mary, etc. Now it is too late. It is equivalent to Pharaoh saying, now when the water was coming above him, I believe in the Lord of Moses and the children of Israel. It was not accepted.
When in the whole earth nobody of Iman is left, what do you think is going to happen? this is what our Prophet ﷺ said, that after this point in time, idolatry will return to the Arabs. And by Arabs he meant the children of the Muslims, because when you said Arab back then you meant a Muslim as well. That, and he mentioned specific tribes, and he said the women, their bodies will be doing tawaf around the tribes of the ancient. And the people, he said, will become worse than baha'im, worse than animals, and they will copulate in public like donkeys. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. That might happen. Now, this hadith, the entire Saud said, a time will come, a night will come, that the entire Quran will be taken back by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The people will wake up and the mushafs will be blank. And there will be no one with the Quran in their hearts. This is a...
So now the first blowing of the trumpet, in my opinion, will occur. But prior to the first trumpet being blown, at the time of Zuhr, when the sun has risen from the west, just before the trumpet is blown, a mighty miracle will happen and the people will be left dumbfounded.
إذا وقع القول عليهم أخرجنا لهم دابة من الأرض تكلمهم أن الناس كانوا بآياتنا لا يوقنون. This is in the Quran, dabba. Once the command has been given, which means once judgment is khalas, that's it, too late now. Once the motion has been set in, that's it, end is coming, the end is near. فإذا وقع القول عليهم, is that فإذا or إذا حتى وإذا وقع القول عليهم, we shall bring out for them دابة من الأرض, a beast from this earth. تكلمهم, the beast will speak to them, and it will say, أن الناس كانوا بآياتنا لا يوقنون, people would not believe in our signs. It's too late now. We told you to believe, you did not believe. And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi.
So this beast from the earth will be animal-like. The extraordinary thing is, this animal will speak in all of the languages on the face of the earth. How incredible.
And when this is taking place, the mother who's got a child, she on that day will remember that she had a child. Why? Because the sound of the horn. The sound of the horn is so terrifying that you will see mankind will be in a drunken state, but in reality they won't be drunk. The hadith of Abu Huraira comes to mind. He says that Shaitan and his army will begin to run and they will begin to hide. They will begin to run and they will begin to hide. The Quran says on that day there is no refuge. He will look above the people, and what will they see? They will see the sky will look like the black filth of oil.
Then mankind will see some strange smoke in the skies, and then they will realize what is happening, and this will now envelope the whole of mankind. The smoke will be around them, the skies will change, and this is what they will see when they look upwards. So, what is the next phase towards Qiyama?
The final conclusion of this dunya will be what? The trumpet. The trumpet. And this is something that is very explicit in the Quran and Sunnah. وَيَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ. Said, hadith is in Musnad Imam Ahmad and other books as well, by the way. The trumpet will be blown. And as soon as people hear it, everyone will turn to face the direction of the sound. So the trumpet will be blown and all of mankind will look to where that sound is coming from. And he said, the first person to hear the trumpet will be a man who is busy repairing the tank that is meant to supply water to his camels, and he will fall dead, and the people will start falling dead after him. So the Prophet ﷺ told us the first person to hear the trumpet will be the one who's preparing the pool for the camels, you know. Now, putting everything together.
خشعت أبصارهم يخرجون من الأجداث كأنهم جراد منتشر
Deafening sound and dirt on your eyelids. You bring your hand to your face and wipe a thin sheet of dirt from your eyes. Sitting up, you look around to get your bearings. Still a little groggy as you get onto your feet, your eyes come into focus to see there are people all around you, as far as the horizon. They are moving in a direction and you begin to move too, but no one is speaking. The sounds of footsteps the only thing heard, all walking in the direction of the sound. There is sweat on your skin and horror in your heart that's increasing with every minute. You realize that amongst the people walking are animals as well, domesticated and wild, proud animals, fierce animals. You would have fled from them before, but your apprehension leaves you immobile. Unconcerned with the presence of man, they walk with eyes and heads lowered. The crowd of people are compressed together, naked bodies pressed against each other, suffocating, unbearable, with no apologies or courtesy shown. No one looks the other way, as if in a drunken daze, paralyzed by anxiety. It is heavy on you. It weighs on your shoulders and your back. Another group has arrived, creatures you've never seen before. Their figures in the moonlight are macabre and gruesome. Devils, hideous and unearthly, varying in size, they stand in trepidation with attitudes the same. Of them, you see a shooting star and another and another, and the realization is appalling. Constellations are falling. The terror seizes you again. Your hair is standing on end. Your heart would have stopped under normal circumstances long ago. The crowd is moaning, groaning, wailing with
So, this indicates that the universe, the heavens and the earth, will basically be scrolled back up into a big crunch. That's why it seems everything will go backwards. For example, the sun will now instead rise in the west. And how will the people from the graves get to Sham if they are living in the Americas? How will they cross the oceans to get there? This is very striking.
A huge landmass called Pangaea covered about a third of our planet. But about 175 million years ago, the Earth broke up into continents and formed the world we know today.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala split the earth, made the east and the west be apart. So my theory is, after the first blowing of the trumpet, the Pangaea, as it was at the beginning, will come back as a Pangaea from what it is now. That is my opinion for the people to end up in Sham.
A huge landmass called Pangaea covered about a third of our planet. But about 175 million years ago,
So that will explain exactly how the fires will start, how the graves will be turned upside down, how people will come out the graves and just follow towards the light in Sham. That's what seems to be the case. Allahu Alam.
For the camels, Now, putting everything together, these must be the people that are fleeing the fire from Yemen and they're already in a Sham. There's no other way to put it all together. They're all walking towards Sham, the fire is behind them, and now this is happening. And this is taking weeks now, because from walking from Yemen to Sham, it will take a while. And therefore, in the course of this, things will happen. Number 7, 8, and 9. 3 zalazil, 3 earthquakes that will shake the world. There's going to be major. This isn't a regional earthquake. These are earthquakes that essentially the world will know it is an earthquake. 3 zalazil that will shake the world. In one hadith, each next one will be bigger than the first one. So it's going to be 3 consecutive earthquakes that are, the whole world will know that there is an earthquake taking place. And then he said, وَآخِرُهُنَّ, the last of these signs, number 10. The last of, he said, وَآخِرُهُنَّ, the last of these signs, number 10. The last of these signs is a blazing fire that will emanate in Yemen and will force the people towards Ard al-Mahshar, or the land of resurrection. The land of resurrection. The very last sign of Judgment Day will be the fire that will force people to gather in one place, and that will be the end of humanity in that one place, which is going to be in Bilad al-Sham, as we will come to when we come to it. In another hadith he said,
So, Allahu Alam, it seems that the 3 landslides in the northeast, etc., will be when the Pangaea, the whole earth, is gone back to one land. And those earthquakes will terrify the people to run in a certain direction. And the fires will obviously blaze because of the volcanoes, etc., etc. And the fire will follow the people, surround them, making them head towards the same direction, Biladul Sham. Now, I have basically said that the trumpet will be blown, the first trumpet will be blown after the beast from the earth has been and gone. That is the first trumpet, I personally believe. Allahu Alam. The second trumpet will be at the resurrection after the Pangaea. The earth becomes a Pangaea. The whole earth is now set for the graves to be turned upside down. So there is no oceans to cross, there is no ocean beds to cross. There is absolutely nothing but one solid land. Allahu Alam.
Allah has called us out, the nations of the world on Yawm al-Qiyamah, the millions that had amassed, they will split into 2 and they will make for us a path in the middle, and the Muslims will now walk in the middle, making their way to the court of Allah Almighty. The Prophet says, with light emanating from their foreheads and emanating from their feet because of the effects of wudu.
Man Sha'a said, hadith is Sahih Bukhari, when the Qiyama trumpet is blown, the second one, and I come to, I will find Musa ahead of me, holding on to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now listen to this. And I do not know, did he wake up before me? Was he resurrected before me? Or is he one of those whom Allah Azza wa Jalla said about, Illa ma sha'a rabbuk? And his first falling down counted for this one. What was his first fall?
Nuh alayhi salam will be brought forward on the day of judgment to be asked and spoken to by Allah. The prophets now are going to be questioned as well. فَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الَّذِينَ أُرْسِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. The messengers are going to be asked as well. Nuh, Allah will say to him, have you conveyed the message of Islam to your people? He will say, yes, O Allah, of course. Then Allah Almighty will turn to the people of Nuh, these cheeky and treacherous people, and He will say to them, did Nuh convey the message of Islam to you?
And they will say, no warner was ever sent to us. We are treacherous, betraying people. 950 years Nuh alayhi salam spent calling them to Islam. And after that time they say, no messenger came to us. Allahu Akbar. Then Allah Almighty will say to Nuh alayhi salam, Man yashhadu lak? Who can witness for you that you're speaking the truth? And Allah knows that He's speaking the truth. He will say, Muhammadun wa ummatuh. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will witness for me, and the Muslims, his followers, his ummah will witness for me.
So, for all the prophets, including especially Jesus, the son of Mary, and Musa alayhi salam, we will be the witnesses. But specifically for Jesus, the son of Mary, because in the Quran, He has already asked them questions. It is explicitly mentioned in the Quran. Alhamdulillah.
Open your book of deeds right now. Look at it. Flip the pages. Every page, every word, every atom of an action that you did is in there.
Then Allah says, do you have any objection to what our angels wrote in your records? And He will say, no, Ya Rabb, I have no objections. And then Allah will give this man a card to place on the scale. In this card, the following words are written. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His messenger. And the man says, oh God, how heavy does this card weigh to the weight of 99 books of records? It weighs nothing. And the card will be placed and it will cause the bar of the books to swing to its side sharply. Because, my dear brothers and sisters, nothing weighs heavier than the word of Tawheed. So now the scales have been resolved. Secondly, the weighing. Now, the crossing. There is not one of you but will pass over hellfire. This is with your Lord a decree which must be accomplished. Then we shall save those who have taqwa, and we shall leave the wrongdoers in hellfire, in misery, down on their knees, feebled. There is not one of you but will pass over it. There isn't any one of you except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will speak to them one by one on one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will speak to you. And there is no translator, interpreter between you and Allah. So everyone will have this. And the Prophet ﷺ is explaining this to his ummah, to the nation of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whom messengers were sent to. وَلَوْ تَرَى إِذْ وُقِفُوا عَلَى رَبِّهِمْ. If only you would see the day when they will be standing before their Lord. إِنَّ إِلَيْنَا إِيَابَهُمْ ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا حِسَابَهُمْ. They will return to us and then we are going to judge them. وَلَيُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. They will be questioned about what they used to accuse and do wrong. Allah says, كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ رَبِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ لَمَحْجُوبُونَ. Now the verses that say that they will not speak to Allah, Allah says, on that day they will be covered away from their Lord. And Allah also says, لا يكلمهم الله. Allah will not speak to them. How do we correlate between these two? The ayat that say Allah will speak to them, and they drag them on their faces, and they grab them from their forelock and their legs and throw them into Jahannam. These disbelievers who knew the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and deliberately refused to follow it, on that day they will deny. But what's worse than that are the people among the day we shall seal their mouths and their hands and feet will be speaking to us about everything they used to do. And so Allah replies, also says that they will say to their hands and feet, they will say to them, قَالُوا لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا, why did you bear witness against us? Against me? You're my body. قَالُوا أَنطَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. They will say, Allah is the one who made us speak, the one who made everything else speak. In other words, how? How can we lie to him? He's the creator. He knows everything. In other words,
Want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Hello?